All Obi-Wan Kenobi episodes are now out on Disney Plus, and given how much I enjoy doing ranking videos, and I sure hope you like it too, I decided that today we're gonna rank all episodes, including the finale that premiered today. Hello, fellow Disney Plus watcher, it's nice to talk with you about Disney Plus today. If you love Disney and Disney Plus as much as I do and enjoy talking about it, why not click the subscribe button to stay up to date, and please give it a like because it helps the video and the channel. Thank you so much. Okay, do know this video is full spoiler territory. If you haven't seen all of Obi-Wan, please do yourself a favor and come back later after you did. Coming in at the bottom is part 4. Now, I was going back and forth between this one and the next one in terms of which one I thought was ultimately the weakest, but I guess I give the bottom place to part 4 because it didn't have anything to say really. It was just rescuing Princess Leia, and Obi-Wan coming back into the strength of his old self didn't particularly feel all that grand or important. There's issues with how this episode looks. For example, the snowspeeder in this final set piece targeting Reva, it felt like a video game cutscene, and overall the escape itself and Obi-Wan versus the stormtroopers are filmed in the least exciting way. It seemed really like the budget shrunk for each episode, and the action felt very distant here in this episode. Nothing about the story that straight up bothered me, but that's also the point really, nothing to be bothered by. Just an in-between episode with budget problems that is not much better than a Clone Wars low-tier mission episode. At number 5 we have Part 5. This one is extremely frustrating. What's great about it is the story. The flashback, Anakin's lesson in that story and how that juxtaposes with what Vader is doing in the here and now. It's haunting to see Obi-Wan's training reflected in Vader's tactical choices. The combat between him and Reva was straight hype. I love that we got to see a brutal Vader trying to stop a ship with the Force. That's video game level stuff and I love it. But talking about video game level stuff, this episode looked like it was the last thing they filmed on the day and the crew ran into debt or something. Oh, sorry guys, we spent all the money, but we still have the soundstage for one day. Let's try to make something out of it. This episode was shaky, dark, blurry, cheap. I know it's a TV show, but major movies from Disney got even better visual effects 10 years ago than this episode got today. Loved the story, loved that the flashback informed the story. It's a fun escape mission, I guess, but holy moly, how frustrating it is to see Star Wars made so cheap. Star Wars and low budget on screen together, I'm crying on the inside. Next up, part 6, the finale. Again, frustrating. You know what? It looks like the first half and second half of the show were directed by different people. The first 3 by Deborah Chow and the second 3 by a first-year film school student. I don't know. Great moments in the finale. Vader's voice changing between Earl Jones and Hayden Christensen's voice worked like crazy. They did a good enough job for me to explain why Vader stops hunting Kenobi at the end of the show, as he clearly starts becoming Darth Vader by order of Palpatine in this episode, from Hunter Vader to running an Empire Vader. I'm not going to go too in-depth. If you want to hear my very in-depth thoughts, I did a 20-minute discussion with a friend of mine. But yes, this looked like a muddy, shaky Star Wars fan-made fantasy, with the duel being very well done on an interesting-looking planet, but nothing about it is immersive. Liam Neeson as Qui-Gon, too little too late. I mean, Qui-Gon just saying, "Good job, Obi-Wan," without helping him, guiding him, or anything, that's literally something I joked about in the weeks prior. Coming in at number 4 is Part 2. The episode where we really got to bond with Obi-Wan and Leia. The character stuff between them, how Leia kind of figures out an assumption about Obi-Wan that he can be trusted, which is wrong, but her point of view makes sense. We see that even though she's wrong, she has a great motivation to protect herself, and their whole dynamic lifted this episode up to something I enjoyed, even though plot-wise, not that exciting or special. Obi-Wan has to lay low, Reva's after him, they walk through town, find a Jedi con man who helps them get off planet, essentially. It's cool. Also, I really liked the tease of Vader in the Bacta tank. That was badass. Not much to say that's really bad about this one, although in hindsight, the budget problems are already a bit noticeable and some scenes were too dark. Part 1. This episode maybe is the best in terms of ambience and atmosphere, tone if you will. And it has, surprise surprise, the biggest budget it seems. Most of the budget was spent on Tatooine, at least it looks like that. The broken Obi-Wan is really well built up here. They really took their time to tell the story. We get a great introduction to Leia, which was a huge surprise to me, and the reason for Obi-Wan to leave planet makes sense. The Inquisitors are still badasses in this first episode, all around well done. After this one, I thought it would only get better from here. And well, Coming in at number 1, my number 1 best episode of Obi-Wan is part 3. This was the best meal that took everything about the Kenobi series and gave it the biggest punch. I love the deserted feel of Mapuzo. I love the tension when we are on Freck's transport and Leia and Obi-Wan have to improvise a family story. I really liked the cat and mouse lightsaber duel. Obi-Wan running away like a coward in this point of the show makes total sense. I couldn't freaking believe what I was seeing when Vader dragged the poor guy through the fire like he did with him on Mustafar. That's storytelling how Lucas liked it.
Again, it's like poetry, so if they rhyme.
We get introduced to Tala and the Path, you know, the network of Jedi trafficking, so much world building, a tense mission in the first half, and the horror of seeing Vader and all that in the second half. So many great moments and world building that I have to declare this my favorite. About the show overall, very underwhelming feeling. I have a very... as a Star Wars fan, I even felt more satisfied with the Book of Boba Fett. I think I prefer Book of Boba Fett over this show. Yeah, I know, the sudden focus on Mando frustrates the shite out of me, but that show still felt more visionary, more alive, more honest. There's more aliens in the background, by the way. I've seen people point that out. Book of Boba Fett is not great, but still it's a product of a bunch of visionaries, and Obi-Wan felt like a group of executives trying to get away with the bare minimum Kenobi deserves.
I smell profit. Nice, juicy, fat, warm profits.
It's just very subpar to me. Now it's up to you. How would you rank these 6 episodes of Obi-Wan? Let me know in the comments below. I'm thinking about wrapping this up. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in my thoughts on all the episodes, you'll find it right here or in the description. If you like this video, then there's the simple way to show support. Thank you very much. I'll certainly be back Friday. For now, have a wonderful day and see ya.